Welcome to Betya's World Cup primer for the FIFA World Cup 2022. I'm your host, Betya, here on the MMA Engine, doing a little something different. We usually just cover MMA content, but as this is one of my absolute favorite sporting events that we get every, well, in this case, 4.5 years, but every 4 years, I am happy to break it down from a fan and betting perspective, hopefully making us all some money along the way. If you haven't already, please like the video, please subscribe to our channel. I work with wonderful people here at DFS by the Numbers, Uncle Weezy, Monk Petition, working hard every week to break down fights from an MMA, from a betting and a DFS perspective. Before I get into the bets for each group, for those that do not follow international tournaments, I want to give a little primer on the tournament structure. If you've been watching these things for years, just skip ahead a couple of minutes. But this tournament happens in two stages. There's a group stage and there's a knockout stage. So in the group stage, it's 8 pods of 4 teams. Everybody plays once in a round robin format. You win a game, it's 3 points. You get a draw, it's 1 point. And if you lose, it's 0. Now, I bring this up for a very important reason. In a lot of these groups, because it's only 3 games, you're going to have ties for second place, sometimes for first place. Goal differential is the next tiebreaker. And that's crucial here because a few of the groups we're going to go over, I believe a team will qualify solely due to goal differential. So with that being said, let's get into the group analysis. Apologies in advance. I am not the greatest artist, so I did my best for this. So let's bring up the groups and get to work. So let's start with World Cup Group A. We have the Netherlands on top. They are the group favorite at almost 3-1 to win it. Senegal and Ecuador pretty close in second place, plus 450 and plus 500 respectively. Qatar bringing up the rear as the host country for the event at plus 1,000. If you look at their FIFA ranking, Netherlands is the top 10 team. They've been playing really well internationally the last few years. They will be missing Gini Wijnaldum, who was their leading goal scorer in the Euros 2 years ago. But this team is pretty talent-laden with goal scorers. They're very fun to watch, too. Senegal is a crazy loaded squad that's flying under the radar. Their world ranking is 18th. They're incredibly good. The issue is a couple of their guys are banged up from their domestic leagues, namely Sadio Mane, who's played for Liverpool and now plays for Bayern Munich, picked up a tendon injury. He will probably not play at minimum the first 2 games. He may play the third game, and that's going to be important as we go through this. But they're pretty stacked. They got guys from all over the top leagues in Europe. Ismail Yassar is really good, just to name one. This team is very well built, very well disciplined, and I think they can make some moves here. Ecuador, kind of a younger team. They play in the CONCACAF region in North America. They're a little, I don't think they're totally battle tested, but they're sneaky good. They play good defense. They're a tough unit to crack, and they're going to make some trouble in this group as well. And then Qatar, I mean, I just got to put it the way it is. They're in this because they're the host country. I don't give them great chances here, but you go back 4 years when Russia was the host country. The hosts have a way of doing all right. So I think this is a sneaky competitive group. In terms of the knockout stage advancement, Netherlands, huge, massive favorite. You see that Senegal and Ecuador are pretty close in terms of the pick. World Cup odds, Netherlands has a chance, but everybody else here is being listed as a pretty big underdog. So when we break down Group A, here are the 6 games. And what I'm doing for each group is I'm highlighting the 2 games, 3 games, 1 game that I feel are the most important in the group. Now, for this one, I've highlighted Qatar and Ecuador, which is the tournament opener, and the final game, which is Ecuador and Senegal. You'll see that Ecuador is a slight favorite over Qatar in the opener, and that Senegal, at the moment, is a slight favorite over Ecuador. The reason I highlight these 2 games is for a couple of reasons. I think the Netherlands wins this group. I don't think it's debatable. They're minus 280 to win the group. It's a parlay piece at best, but they should pretty easily get through this stage without any trouble. Where Ecuador, more often than not, should beat Qatar, this is the opening game. It's the only game that's going to occur on November 20th. It opens the tournament. It's a massive crowd. It's the opening event. There's ceremonies. There's a lot of nerves. Weird results tend to happen on the first day of the tournament. So I don't think it's so straightforward that Ecuador is going to win this game. And if they don't, it makes the last game very, very intriguing between Senegal and Ecuador. As I mentioned about Sadio Mane, he should be back for that game. Even at worst as a substitute for 20, 30 minutes, he will make a tremendous difference in that game. Senegal is built to defend, but they have goal scorers going forward, whereas Ecuador, I don't really see them as being much of a goal scoring threat. If Ecuador wins against Qatar and Senegal holds suit also, and I see them both losing the Netherlands, they will go into that game tied at 3 points each. So the winner of that game would advance in second place in the group. However, it's not that simple, as we're going to find out with my best bets in the group. So I have Senegal going through as the second team, Netherlands to win the group. I have Senegal plus 105 versus Qatar. I think that's a pretty solid bet in that spot. I actually think it should be probably minus 140 odds, but I like it. I have a straight forecast of Netherlands Senegal. Now, there's a couple of ways you can bet this on DraftKings. You can do a dual forecast, which is like an exact in horse racing where any order of the top two pays you. The straight forecast is I need this exact order, Netherlands Senegal at plus 225. I don't see Senegal winning the group. I think the second spot's their ceiling. Plus 225, in essence, for me to see them qualify, I think are great odds. Before I get to the third piece here, I'll bring up Netherlands goal team total. This is for the entire tournament. This is not for the group. For them to get over 7.5 goals at minus 140 odds, I mean, there's a possibility they could hit this in the group stage alone. I think they can get at minimum 2 a game. I think one of these games, maybe against Qatar, they could blow 4 or 5 past them and just really put this thing to bed. As long as they get 6 goals in this group stage, I think you're fine. I like it at minus 140. I think it's reasonable odds for a bet that I should not take them more than 4 games to hit, and more than likely you should hit this in 3. Now, the last piece of this is the Senegal-Ecuador draw or win, conditional on the Ecuador-Qatar result. Now, here's what I mean by that. If Ecuador does not win the first game, then they're going to have 1 point going into that final match with Senegal. Whereas I project that Senegal will have 3 points at this point. They will have lost the Netherlands. They will have beaten Qatar. If that's the case, I'm not so keen on betting Senegal to win. You see weird results in these tournaments, especially in the last game. Ecuador would have to go forward and try to win this game, whereas Senegal can play defensively, accept the draw to go through. I think they're defensively sound enough to play out kind of an ugly 0-0 tie, or they could score early and then park the bus and make it a really ugly 1-0 win, or even concede late and get a draw. So if Ecuador does not win the first game, I'm not going to bet this game. You already have enough equity with Senegal advancing, or I don't think you need any extra skin in the game. But if Senegal needs to win to advance, and this is where goal differential could matter, but I don't see it being a big deal here. Senegal will play to win. Then take Senegal money line in that game. Currently, it's plus 150. So I would like it a lot there, but I would say this is a pass spot if Senegal can just sit back and defend. So that's my analysis for Group A. Let's move on to Group B, which I'm sure a lot of people watching this probably care about the most. We have England, one of the prohibitive tournament favorites. And, you know, for my English friends watching this, sorry to say, colossal choke artists in global tournaments. We have the USA making an appearance. We have Wales and we have Iran. England, another overwhelming favorite to win the group. USA and Wales tied jointly at second at plus 500. Iran trailing at plus 1,600. If you look at the stages to qualify, the US and Wales are very neck and neck. 5 cents separates them. You look at the FIFA World Rankings, and this is really interesting, how good these teams are on a global scale. England being 5 probably shouldn't surprise anybody. They've always had a very strong and deep squad. The U.S. being 16 feels a little high, but they've been better the last 2 years in international competitions. Wales being 19th also might surprise people that don't follow into the Euro leagues, but they have a great roster. They have Gareth Bale, who now plays in America, but Gareth Bale has been a winner wherever he's gone when he's not playing golf. My guy Kiefer Moore, DFS legend Kiefer Moore, Danny James, a host of others on that team. They are a battle-tested tournament team. And Iran, ranked at 20, is no joke defensively. And every time they've been on the global stage, they are so sound defensively. They had a famous game a few years ago where Argentina needed to beat them to qualify, and Messi did Messi things in the 93rd minute. with just an incredible goal that nobody's going to stop. But Iran shows serious mettle in these tournaments. They were good in the last Euro against Portugal, against Spain. They play these teams super tough. They know how to play defensively sound on this stage. If you like watching goals go in the net, this is not the group for you. This will not be a fun group. It's going to be low scoring. It's going to be gritty. And I love that style of soccer personally. It's not for everybody. I know people are going to be watching it, rooting for the U.S., and I understand that. But these games are going to be very, very tense. I did not include any bets on the card markets for this. But when you watch these games, there are going to be a couple of spots where as long as you can get under 4 cards, you can get anything over 3.5 yellow cards, I think it's worth a poke. But no confidence that I want to give out for those. That's not what this show is about. So we move to what the crucial games are. I apologize. I did say I am not great at art, so apologies for my little trash sign being over the group name. There are 3 games here that matters. You notice I've omitted Iran for any of the key games. It's no knock on Iran here. I just don't think they have any offensive firepower, and their best hope would be that every game ends 0-0, and I just don't see that happening. So for now, I've disqualified Iran as a group winner. However, all 3 games that I highlighted are important for different reasons. You'll see what I have bet for the U.S. Wales when we get to the next slide. But that is going to be a tense game, and that really is the make it or break it game for the U.S. It's unfortunate for them that the first game is way the more crucial game here. However, you look at the 2 games that each one will have against England, and I feel that this is the crucial point. I think they'll both beat Iran and have 3 points there. I'll tell you the bet in a second with the U.S. and Wales. But what it's going to come down to, I think, is which team loses to England by less goals. And I slightly favor Wales here for 2 reasons as we get into the bets. Number one, I think the game with the U.S. and Wales will be a draw. I like it at plus 195. I think 1-1 is an exact score here at 5-1 is great. It's not going to be high scoring. Now watch, it's going to be like 4-3 now. I've said that, but these teams just aren't built for that. Wales, especially if you watch them in the Euros, they haven't been in the World Cup in over 60 years, but you watch them now in the Euros, they are built to play these low scoring games and play them well and really make these games ugly. And I don't think the U.S. is going to be used to that. So I have Wales slotted as the second team to qualify. I understand if everybody clicked the video off now that I did that, that's fine. The advantage that Wales has is since they'll play England last, the U.S. will have, by my forecast, 1 point going into that game. They will need to win. Iran won't have anything to play for except national pride, but they'll be tough. They'll be professional. Wales will know that a draw or not getting killed in this game will get them through. And they've traditionally played England pretty tough. Typically, when they play them, they lose by a goal, whether it's international tournaments, friendlies. Wales always battles this team. I mean, it's not, I wouldn't call it a rivalry, but there's certainly a lot of animosity between these 2 teams, especially since a lot of the starters play against each other in the Premier League. So they have a lot of familiarity with each other. I think Wales will know they can go out there. If they score 1 goal against England, they're probably going to qualify. But I could see that ending 0-0 and Wales getting through just on goal differential alone. The U.S. will know it needs to press against Iran, but it's not going to come easy. And I think the U.S. will get a really narrow, maybe a 1-0 win, 1-0, apologies, in that game. So give me Wales by the thinnest of margins to sneak through. If you want to bet the U.S., I completely understand that. Honestly, these odds are so close. If the U.S. played England last, I may have sided with them just based on them knowing what they would need to do going into it. So it's not going to be must win for Wales in that game. They will be able to. And in all fairness, England should probably have 6 points and the group sewn up by that point. So England may not press. They may be content with a draw there, get the point, clinch the group. So you get weird behavior in some of the last games of a group. We've seen teams play for draws because it ensures they both go through. Whereas I don't think that's truly the case here because England should have it wrapped up. I can certainly see them resting players, maybe a lot of squad rotation. Wales will not be rotating anybody in this game. Let's move on to Group C. Very interesting group in my estimation. We have Argentina, Poland, Mexico, and Saudi Arabia. Much like the last group, you have a pretty clear favorite in Argentina. Minus 250 to win the group is, I actually think, really good value. The reason it's so low is because Poland and Mexico are gamey teams. They're very close in the group odds, plus 400, plus 450, respectively. To reach the knockout stage, minus 120, minus 110, very close again. You look at the FIFA rankings, Mexico's 13 spots behind Poland. Argentina at plus 500 to win, one of the tournament favorites, and Saudi Arabia at plus 80,000, tied joint for the worst odds on the board to win the World Cup. We're going to disqualify Saudi Arabia for the sake of expediency in this video. They don't have a chance here. It's that simple. So it comes down to 3 teams. The key game here is Mexico and Poland. Now, I think Argentina probably gets all 9 points here. I don't see them. I mean, when we get to the next video about the futures of the tournament, you'll see what I really think of Argentina. But as far as these 3 games go, this is one-way traffic. Messi gonna Messi. It's his last tournament. I expect him to do brilliant things. I don't see them struggling. Mexico is good at 2 things in the World Cup. They're good at getting out of the group stage and promptly losing in the round of 16. And that's why that game is so important. So as we get to the best bets, 7 World Cups in a row, Mexico has come in second in the group stage, or has qualified out of the group stage, and promptly lost. 7 World Cups in a row, 28 years in a row. Obviously, they don't play every year, but 28 years of this competition, Mexico reaching it and going out. Well, who am I to buck that trend? So give me Argentina to win the group. Give me Mexico to take second, plus 225 on the straight forecast, as them coming 1-2 exact. And even though we're not talking about the elimination stages yet, I had to throw it in this bet. Mexico to be eliminated, literally the first game after the group stage, at plus 150. Understand this right now. If they take second in the group, like I predict, they will play the winner of Group D, which we're about to get to. And no matter who comes out of Group D, whether it's France, whether it's Denmark, they're going to be massive favorites over Mexico. And Mexico is probably going to get clobbered 5-1 in that game. So Mexico to be out in the round of 16, Argentina, Mexico, straight smash spot right there. Let's move on to Group D and let's have some fun. Because this group, it's interesting at the top. France and Denmark are the top 2 teams. 2 top teams in the top 10 worldwide. France plus 700, one of the favorites to win the tournament. Denmark at plus 2,500, a little sneaky. Tunisia and Australia bringing up the rear, massive underdogs to even get out of the stage. I'm going to disqualify both of them here. This group is not about them. This group is about 2 teams and 2 teams only. You see that France is an absolutely massive favorite just to qualify. Denmark at minus 280 to reach the knockout phase is a really nice parlay piece. Group odds, you see France slightly better than a 2-1 favorite. Denmark plus 225 right here. So if you've been paying attention to what I'm doing here, you realize there is only one key game, and that is France and Denmark on November 26th. People are going to smash France here, and I understand that. France has a very good reputation in these tournaments. They're former Euro champions. They're the defending World Cup champions. Their backup squad could probably come in the final 4 of the World Cup. I understand that. But they are not without problems. Deschamps is the coach. He's kind of losing this team a little bit. Their last Euro wasn't great. Mbappe is not thrilled to be on this team. And if you don't know Kylian Mbappe, just go look up highlights of this guy. He's so young. If you say that he's the best player in the world, nobody's going to really argue. This guy is so fun to watch. Plays for Paris Saint-Germain. The guy is just an incredible joy with some of the things that he can do. There's just something off with this team. And now Nkunku's out. He plays for RB Leipzig. He is another up-and-coming, an amazing goal scorer. Denmark has beaten France the last 2 times they've played. It was in the Nations League. They won both games. I think Denmark has the formula to once again beat France. And I am betting Denmark massively here. Denmark to qualify, minus 280. Really easy smash spot for them. There's no way they don't qualify here. Unless they get a ton of red cards, I don't see how they don't. I love them to not only win the group, but at plus 285 odds, defeat France. Now, if you're only comfortable betting one of these, that's fine. The reason if you're going to have to only bet one, I think you're better off betting Denmark to beat France. A, as I like to famously say, it pays more, which is wonderful. If Denmark and France do draw, it would come down to goal differential. They'd both be sitting on 7 points because I expect them to both win the other 2 games. And France is definitely more equipped to rout somebody. Like if one of these teams is going to win a game 6-0, it's more likely to be France. So if it does come down to goal differential, I got to think they win the group. So, but I really just think Denmark's going to run the table in this group, and their team total of over 5.5 is so crazy low here. I don't understand why it's so low. I think they're going to hit this by the end of the 3rd game. I think this bet hits by the end of the group stage. And on the bottom, I mentioned something about team futures and player futures to stay tuned. Well, I'm just going to spoil this video. I like me some Denmark a lot in this tournament. And if Denmark beats France and wins the group, their path is going to be so much easier. The loser of this group, I'm sorry, not the loser, the second place team in this group has to play Argentina in the round of 16. If you can avoid that game and play Mexico in the round of 16, which again, based on historical trends, kind of seems like a smash spot, you're in the final 8. You'll have England waiting. You'll have the Netherlands waiting. You'll have those kind of teams waiting in the wings. Those are winnable games, I believe. So stay tuned for the knockout video, which is going to be released on Thursday, as to how much I really like Denmark. Spoiler, it's a lot. That concludes part 1 of my World Cup breakdown, groups A through D. Please leave your comments in the chat. Tell me what you agree with, you disagree with. I realize that people are probably going to disagree with the U.S. I'm sure a lot of people are going to disagree with my pick of Denmark over France. That's fine. I love the debate. And look forward to the next video coming out that covers groups E through H, which is the bottom half of the bracket. That'll be coming out later today as well. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. And enjoy the tournament.